Hey there, entrepreneurs, business owners, and coaches. Welcome back. My name is Yvonne, and I'm a certified business and finance coach with a master's degree in business administration and 20 years experience. And I'm here to help entrepreneurs and small business owners really build their dream business and achieve financial freedom. If you want to learn more about building wealth, growing your business, and achieving financial mastery, then you're in the right place. And today we've got a really special topic. We're diving into something that's not just important, but it's essential if we want to raise financially confident children. Really teaching our children about money and wealth, because it really is an opportunity for us to help our children have a better experience than we have, right? So always looking for the next generation to do better, to have more, and to be more. And that's really something that really, as a parent, I'm a parent of twin babies. They're 3 years old now. They're gonna turn 4 in June in about a month. And I'll tell you, I want nothing more than for their life experience to be better than mine. Okay, and my mother, my father came from Venezuela, my mother from Puerto Rico, and so they're coming from different places to live here in the U.S. so that their children, myself included, there's 4 of us, can have a better life experience. And so too, they've made sacrifices for that. And so I also, and I'm sure you as a parent, for the parents or the parents to be, you want more for your children, and you're prepared to sacrifice and do whatever it takes because of love, because of the love you have for them. It's a selfless love. When they're born and you look into those little eyes and you make a promise, that moment, if you're a parent, you know that moment when you made a promise that you're gonna love this little person and you're gonna give them everything so that nothing stops them, nothing hurts them, that they have all the opportunities available for them. That moment. For me, that moment was when I was in the hospital bed, and it was a C-section because they were twins. And when the doctor first showed me my babies, Gianna came out first, the baby girl, and I looked into her eyes and I whispered to her, I love you, I love you. You know, they put their little, they put their little hat, a nice little warm hat, and they're all bundled up with their little blankets, and the doctor shows them, and I'm sitting there, I'm laying there in the hospital bed, still with the blanket, it's like a wall they put, just a little sheet, right? And then Luca comes, they present Luca to me for the first time when I get to see my baby, and then my 2 angels. And in that moment, I knew that I was not living for myself anymore, right? Or my husband. I was living for these 2 little precious people, these brand new little people that came into this earth, and my job is to take care of them. So I want you as a parent, if you're a parent listening, I want you to think about that moment when you knew that was true for you in your heart. Because I want this conversation to come from that place, to come from love, selfless love. As a parent, you know what I mean. There's no other experience that can give you the ability. And you think you know what love is before you have kids. But after you have kids, let me tell you, that is true love. So let's start from that space. Let's start from love. Because in this system, good, bad, and different, it takes money even to to even be born. I remember those expensive hospital bills. Thankfully, we had insurance, right? So just even to be born in this system, it takes a lot of money, right? To exchange for goods and services. So the best gift we can give to our children is a trust fund. And the trust fund is a trust fund of wisdom and knowledge and understanding. That's the wealth, okay? That's the wealth we leave, because we don't bring anything to this world and we don't take anything with us. We don't. The only thing we leave behind truly is our wisdom, the knowledge, the understanding, experience to our posterity, to our children. And with those lessons that they step up as the next generation, right? And so true wealth is what we teach our children. So because, let's be real, financial literacy isn't just for adults. It's one of the most powerful gifts we can pass down to the next generation. And if we start early, we can help our kids avoid the mistakes we made and that we had to unlearn later in life. So stick around, because I'm also sharing my course, the Financial Freedom Accelerator Academy, and that can take these lessons even further, right? I only have a few minutes with you, maybe 20 minutes in these YouTube videos, but in that academy, we can really have a deeper dive and answer your most pressing questions more intimate, with an intimate group. Now, let's get into this video. There are 5 powerful ways to teach your children about money, and I want to share with you as a parent that's also learning and growing and figuring it out in the process, okay? I am not an expert parent by any stretch of the imagination. I am learning as I go, as any parent will tell you. Even my mother, we're in our 40s, and there's 4 of us, and she also says that she's learning as she goes too. She's figuring it out, because this is the first time she had adult children, right? So you're learning and you're growing and you're making changes and modifying based on what works. And you can read all the parenting books, but your child is special, unique, right? And you've got to tailor the message to your particular situation. So I want to share with you these 5 based on what I've read, researched, and learned even in my experience. And then you take this along with yours and you make it your own, okay, for your children. So the first is start with basic financial concepts. We want to start with the foundation, right? Setting a good foundation. So when it comes to child development, it's been said that the most crucial milestones in a kid's life occur by the age of 7. In fact, I think it's the great Greek philosopher Aristotle. He once said, "Give me a child until he is 7, and I'll show you the man." Give me a child until he is 7, and I'll show you the man. And I've also read, even when the child is in the womb, they're learning, and and even their development as a baby is impacted if they have a peaceful and comfortable, if you have, as a mother, the pregnancy, if there are dynamics that have a lot of fighting, a lot of abuse, parents fighting, anything like that, that disrupts the peace in the home, the child is impacted. And so this is quite interesting, because when I had the kids, I was like, well, when do I start? Well, the best time, just like planting a tree, right? The best time was yesterday. The next best time is today. So as a parent, taking this theory to heart can make a big, big difference. In fact, my twins are 3 years old, and already I can see that they understand that it takes money to buy their toys. In fact, when they receive cash gifts from family and friends and they want to buy a toy with it, we allow them to hand the money to pay for the toy to the cashier. so that they understand that it takes money to pay for their toy. So I will lift up, no, so I'll give them the money so they have the money on hand, and I'll tell them to put it in their pocket. I buy their little pants with pockets. So they know they roll up the money. A lot of times it's $10 or $20 because toys are expensive these days. And it's really hard to find a toy under $20. If you know where, let me know. But so they'll roll it up and put it in their little pocket. And then we'll go to the toy store and they'll pick out their toy. And when they go to the cash register, I say, okay, Luca, okay, Gianna. And then they give the money to the attendant. And then it's the cutest thing, and they get their money returned, or if there's a difference, and usually there is, then I'll take out the credit card and make the payment that way, whatever. But they get that experience, right? That exchange. They understand cognitively that there is an exchange of money to get a product. So anyways, I would second guess myself, like, is this the right thing to do? I'm starting too young. But I'll tell you, recently I overheard my daughter tell my son, he said, Luca, don't break my toy. I spent a lot of money for that. And I was like, wow, I was in shock, right? So, because I can tell that that the fact that they understood that it takes money, now it's the next level. Like there's a certain level of caring for their toys. Right? Because they know it costs something. We'll say daddy's at work. Daddy is at work, or mommy is working for money so we can buy your toys, so we can buy food. So we explain these things and they really understand. So as a parent, it's important for us to inculcate these things early on. And so even as early as the age of 3, they're already forming a belief about money. So I'm very, very careful. I know many of us grew up with, when we wanted something or when we asked for something, our parents, with the biggest heart, and I'm, not judging that, but a lot of times what we tell our children stays with our children and affects their beliefs into adulthood. So I had a problem, and I'm still working through that with these limiting beliefs on money, that it's the scarcity of money or the lack of money, or there is not enough, right? This whole not enoughness, and a lot of this not enoughness stops you as an adult from taking necessary risks even in your business, right? So this not enoughness, for example, can show up as you holding back on investing in marketing for your business, or hiring the right person with the right skill set to be able to bring in, a lot more robust structures for your business, whether it's marketing or sales or operations, that will ultimately help increase the profits and revenue for your business. So we see how this shows up. So it's so important, and I'm very careful when my children ask for toys and I don't plan to buy them a toy right now, that the excuse is not, oh, there's no money, or there's not enough money, right? I don't have money to buy that toy. That I'm very, very careful with, because I grew up with that and I know the impact of it through adulthood. So I use other methods to let them know, no, mommy's decided that she's not going to buy toys today. We're not here to buy toys today, right? So, and I leave that limiting belief, I park that, I'm aware of that. And a lot of times it may show up and I stop myself, okay? Because their belief systems are forming at this early age. So we want to be careful. And if you're watching this video and you've stayed this far, then certainly you are care enough to want to be aware. And we're not perfect, right? But the awareness is key. So never think you're starting too early, because they do observe and are like sponges already, creating either empowering or limiting beliefs around money at a very early age. So for young kids, you want to make money feel real and fun. Like use tools like a toy cash register or play money or even Monopoly money to play store. Let them buy and sell items to understand that money is exchanged for goods and services. And this is going to introduce the concepts of value, cost, and choice. You can use everyday moments like grocery shopping, ordering at a restaurant, or planning a party to really talk about how money works in the real world. And as kids grow older, you can introduce them terms like income, expenses, needs versus wants, and budgeting. So for example, you can have a conversation like when they're older, okay, if we have $100 to spend on food this week, how would you prioritize it, right? Take your kids grocery shopping with you so they see the decisions that you make and why. And a lot of times when we're throwing things in the cart, maybe we can tell them, oh, you know, mommy or daddy is buying this, we're buying tomatoes because, or we're buying eggs because, and what is a want versus what is a need? Oh, we're buying cookies because it would be nice, but that's not the, you know, so just really bring that awareness. So they're not just riding with us in the grocery cart, right? Completely oblivious as to what's going on. They're engaged, right? And so what are the must-haves and what are the extras? So you know as a parent that they somehow put all the goodies on the side of when you're going out to buy your goods in the register, there's all these candies and all of these colorful, I want to say junk food, but it's junk food, colorful junk food. So that the kids, it's at their eye level, can pick it up and say, Mommy, I want this, or some random toy. And so that's an opportunity for you to share with them, okay, that's a want, but that's not what we came here, or a need, want versus needs. Or you can say, we didn't come here for that, but I'll make an exception, we can buy that, right? So really bring their awareness, don't just take it and say no, don't just say, no, we're not buying that today. In frustration, or okay, fine, and then you buy it. No, just give them reasons behind it, so that brings awareness, and so they understand that that things don't just show up into their life. I'm working through that right now. That's why I'm spending some time, because as a mother, as a new mom, figuring this out, it's really interesting, and it may sound easy just listening, but if you're a parent, you know there's so much emotions behind it too, because a lot of times they're asking for something and they're crying, or you know that if they don't get that, they're going to create a scene maybe, and crying and all this, and it's sometimes you buy it more so that it's like, okay, do I want to deal with that right now or not? Do I want to keep the peace or not? Do I want to, you know, preach to them right now or not? Or am I too tired? So there's just so much dynamics going into, do I buy this toy for them or not, if you planned it? And so there's a lot of factors. So even before going into a store, I'll tell my children, say, okay, Luca Gianna, we're going to go to Barnes & Nobles, but mommy's not buying any toys today. Right? So the decision has already been made, and they understand the decision's been made before we get in the store. Okay? And so that way, when we're in the store, that doesn't stop them, of course, from asking, and that's okay, but I'll remind them, remember, mommy said that we're not buying anything today, right? Or if we are, I'll say, okay, guys, like today, actually, we went, funny enough, to Barnes & Nobles, and they got these cute little pads. And I was okay with that because I was going to get a hair appointment and I wanted them to be busy with a toy or something. So I says, okay, we're buying that toy. Right? And they were really happy about it. But again, just it's important to bring awareness to these conversations and to these decisions with our children, and not just half-heartedly have these interactions, because every moment is a teaching moment for children. And I'm starting to see, my goodness, they learn very, very quickly. So the reason why this matters is because children start forming beliefs about money very early. Early exposure helps normalize conversations about finances and builds confidence. I also think that it builds discipline too, because as a child recognizes that the reasons why some days you will buy them a toy versus other days they don't, they'll be able to have this self-discipline as well and understand. So point 2 is set up a savings habit early. So let's talk about savings. Teaching your kids to save money is about more than just putting coins in a jar. It's about building delayed gratification and goal setting. So for young children, use the 3-jar system maybe as an opportunity for them to learn to save, spend, or give. So for instance, 1 jar can be, or it doesn't have to be a jar, it could be an envelope, right? Or a little plastic Glad bag where, they have any money from family, friends, or gifts, they know that this little container is for savings. So for big goals, like maybe a toy, a bigger toy, or a bicycle. And then another container can be for spending. So this is their little cash for small weekly treats or anything that they want that's outside of what you planned for. That's what they can use to spend. And then the third can be for giving. So for donations or helping others. And I'm very aware of when they're growing very fast. My children are at this stage. And 2 weeks ago, I brought big boxes full of clothes. So I'll collect the clothes that don't fit them anymore, and I'll put them in a space. And once it gets over the top, then I'll say, okay, let's go donate these clothes. And so they see mommy going to the Goodwill and going to donate these clothes, my clothes, their clothes, and so we'll all go together. So they'll see that that there's an opportunity also to give, right? And so what am I trying to say is giving is not just money. There's other ways that we can show them to have a giving heart, right? And you can get creative and maybe print as if they're older, print a simple tracker where they can maybe color sections as they save more towards their goals, maybe see a visual progress. And that could be very motivating for children. Or maybe for older children, get them involved choosing a savings account, right? A lot of being in a teenage age is a very good. I remember when I was 16 years old is when I first had my first job. And it was actually Joanne Fabrics, and it was a summer job, and I had to get a work permit because at that age you need a work permit at that time to work. And so that's when I started my first savings account. And it's important for us to make them aware that all savings accounts are not created equal. So when they're going to open their savings account, maybe it's an opportunity, maybe it's a learning opportunity so that they go shopping for a savings account and compare interest rates on traditional savings accounts versus a high yield savings account. And even better if you show them how compound interest works, right? For example, you can say, hey, if you save $10 a week and it earns 3% interest, how much do you think you'll have in a year, right? And then they can put their math skills that they're learning into practice. So when you do this, you unlock a life skill, and kids start learning that time can grow money, and that's the beginning of wealth building. You see, so we want to use these very key milestones, like opening a savings account, as an opportunity to teach them. It's a teachable moment. Okay. Now, I want to say this, that I hope that your child has a savings account before their teenage, and we talk about that more in the Financial Freedom Accelerator Academy, where as a parent, we are setting our kids up for success so that they already have a growing account by the time that they are teenagers, in fact. And so we can talk more about that, but this is just an example, right? For those of us that have older kids. Okay, so point three is, and you see me looking here because the kids are in the patio playing and they're quiet. So when they're quiet, you know something's up. So they're okay. They're just playing there. So anyway, point three, incorporate earning opportunities. So now let's talk about earning their own money builds independence and financial awareness. And it doesn't have to wait until they're 16, right? So for younger kids, you can set up a chore chart, for instance, where you have optional paid chores beyond their regular responsibilities. See, that's one thing is if they have regular responsibilities, you don't get paid for that. Just like in life, if there's basic things like cleaning up the yard should be clean, just like their room should be clean. That's just a given. So identify, obviously, in your own personal situation and talk to your spouse and how you're going to work that. But anything beyond the basics, then sure, then there's a paid opportunity. There's an opportunity to get paid beyond your regular responsibilities. Make it realistic, right? Put a certain amount for the different activities that make sense. So for teens or preteens, you can help them explore maybe side hustles like dog walking, tutoring, making crafts, or even reselling old toys or clothes online with supervision, of course. You see, helping them understand that this entrepreneurial spirit is a gift. So you are an entrepreneur, you are a small business owner. The percentage of people that are in this that can call themselves entrepreneurs or small business owners, even if you're starting a side hustle, you're working a full-time job and you're looking to that you have an entrepreneurial spirit, right? So this is very special and this is a skill. And this is something we want to pass on too. So for instance, when I was 8 years old, I remember I came up with, so my cousins would come every summer growing up to spend time with us. So there was 4 of us, the 3 girls, my brother, and then my 2 other cousins. So we had a full house. I'm not sure how my mother did it, but she did it, and we had a lot of fun. And I remember one summer when I had an idea to bake cupcakes with my cousins and sell them. And it was so much fun. In fact, we still talk about, I remember Jackie mentioned that she still remembers when we sold cupcakes. So it was super fun. My mom supported it 100%. And we stayed within a set budget, okay? And so we bought the cupcakes, and I remember all of us going to the grocery store and buying the ingredients. And we had the best time baking these cupcakes together. We decorated them, and it was so much fun. Well, guess what? Then it came time when the cupcakes were cool to put some frosting on, decorated them, and then time to sell. Well, we all piled into the minivan, and my mom went with us, and we went to our neighbors, and we were able to sell them. They all sold out very quickly. I think within less than an hour, we sold out. We sold them for about $0.25 each, and it felt like we were rich. But I'll tell you, I am 43 now as of this video, and that experience happened, at age 8? So that simple experience really taught me a lot about profit, budgeting, and really courage. And so that was a really nice experience. And I also want to be able to share that opportunities for my children to have entrepreneurial spirit with these skills that they can only get through experience. So really think about if you have a child around that age, and you're an entrepreneur and small business owner, how can you start incorporating these very critical life skills that they don't and won't teach in education in school. So don't expect these skills to be something that is taught to your child. So let's move on to point 4, and that's teach budgeting and planning. And I know budgeting doesn't sound very fun, but it can be super encouraging for kids. And if they're taught early on, it can actually be something that becomes fun for them. So every time your child receives money, for instance, whether it's an allowance, birthday money, or earnings, make budgeting a part of the process, or at least think about how to incorporate budgeting in the process. Maybe create a fun money plan worksheet. And ask them, how much will you save? What will you spend on? Or who or what will you give to? So that way the child is engaged and you have them with critical thinking, right? And you ask them, how much will you save? How much will I save? Okay, so I have to save. Interesting. Well, I'll save this much. What will you spend on? Remember we talked about those 3 containers? How much will you give? And you can also give them advice in terms of how they can break this down and why. And again, a teachable moment. So for this, you can let older kids maybe use a budgeting app. Budgeting apps that are designed with kids in mind, right? So a few of them, as I did this research for this video, Greenlight is one, Busy Kid, or Go Henry. Now again, these are apps that popped up while I researched for this video. But certainly do your own research, identify which one works for you, that's designed with kids in mind and that works well for your child, and have your child a part of the process. Ask them, which one do you like the most? Which one do you want to use to track your budgeting? And then have them decide so that it becomes something that they're accountable for because they own it. So they can track spending, set goals, and even invest in these types of apps. So one way also you can challenge your older children is having maybe your child plan a family pizza night with a certain budget that you set. Okay, I know pizza these days, my goodness, I ordered pizza. I try not to. And normally my husband does the ordering. But my goodness, how expensive pizza. I remember I ordered, it ended up about $50. And I was the only one that really wanted pizza. Well, I did get wings and stuff. But still, goodness grief. So I'm not going to tell you what your budget is for pizza. Set your budget and then see what your child comes up with, what they buy, what deals they find, right? They may have to call a few different pizza places to see what can they do with that budget. How much can they make it stretch? So it can be really fun. And they'll learn cost comparison, decision making, and money management, all while having fun. At the end of the day, these games and life skills will help them realize that budgeting is an empowering choice. So with a budget, there's an opportunity to feel more empowered, to have choice, right? And you have more options in life, right? Because with a budget, you don't just spend everything. With a budget, you get to give, right? You get to save as well as spend. Now, the 5th is introduce the concept of investing. So lastly, let's plant that seed of investing. So we want to begin maybe with storytelling analogies. Like we can tell our child, to think of money like a seed. That if you plant it and take care of it, it grows into a tree that gives you fruit again and again. And this makes sense for them. I know I use this. We live in a more of a rural agricultural area, and we've got about 2 acres of land here and about 9 fruit trees. And so I'll go out and I'll water the trees. We've got two papayas, a lime, star fruit, about 3 avocados, 3 mangoes. Oh, and we do have bananas. We got 3 banana trees as well. So anyways, we've got a lot of trees. And so I'll water the trees. And when they're young, that's why I commend the moms that give water to their children and don't give them fruit juice until a certain age. Because once you start introducing fruit juices at an early age, it's hard for them to start drinking water. So one way that I got the kids to like drinking water is they'll see me watering the trees, and I'll say, oh, you see how big the tree's getting because of water? If the tree drinks water, and that's why the tree grows so big. If you want to grow big, you're gonna want to drink water. And sure enough, that worked. So now they like to drink water, and they know that if they drink water, they'll grow big like a tree. So, these illustrations work. They work for a 3-year-old. So certainly it's going to work for your child as well, because they can make that connection. So use illustrations when teaching, because it allows them to make, and it could be very simple examples, but it helps them to make that connection. So use stock, maybe a stock simulator app. Again, I just did research for this video with these apps. Do your own research and figure out what works best for you. But from my understanding, Stockpile, Greenlight, or even just a free Google sheet to track pretend investments in companies that they recognize. They could be toy companies that they truly recognize, and they can begin to see the value of these companies, what their stocks look like, and if they were to invest in that stock, what would that look like through time? Talk about how companies grow and why their stock values might rise or fall. You see, you're not trying to raise a Wall Street trader overnight, right? But what you are trying to do is build awareness that investing is how money can make money. So here's the truth. Our kids are watching and observing us as the example. So if we want them to be financially empowered, we have to model it ourselves. And that's why I created the Financial Freedom Accelerator Academy. It's a complete roadmap to help families build financial confidence, to get out of debt, grow savings, and learn to invest together and build generational wealth. Because when we level up as parents, it gives our children the best opportunity to rise with us. And if you're serious about setting your family up for long-term success, check out the link in the description box. And I'd like to share that this course program is not for everyone. It's for those truly that are self-driven, that really take accountability and responsibility for their results, right? For those of you that are looking for a true identity shift to step into that wealth mindset, then this is for you. Click on the link in the description box to enroll. And if you made it to the end, drop a heart emoji in the comments. I'd love to see those. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with another parent or friend who's on the journey of raising money smart kids. Until next time, stay inspired, stay intentional, and keep building your financial legacy. With love and light, till next time.